For the subject of environmental science, today's topic is Introduction to Biological Magnification. I am Engineer Happy Narang, Assistant Professor in Department of Agriculture at Maya Group of Colleges. Biomagnification can be defined as the process of accumulation of certain chemicals in living organism to a concentration higher than that occurring in the inorganic non-living environment. So, we should understand what biomagnification actually means. Biomagnification is the increase in the contaminated substances due to intoxicating environment. The contaminants might be heavy metals like mercury, arsenic, and pesticides such as polychlorinated biphenyl and DDT. These substances are taken up by the organism through the food they consume. When the organism in the higher food chain feed on these organisms containing toxins get accumulated in higher organism. Now we will be discussing the causes of biomagnification. Following are the major causes of biomagnification. Here is agriculture. The agricultural pesticide, insecticide, fertilizers and fungicides are very toxic and are released into the soil, rivers, lakes and seas. These substances contain small amounts of heavy metals such as mercury, arsenic, copper, lead and cadmium. These cause health issues in aquatic organisms and humans. Now comes organic contaminants. Manures and biosolids are processed industrially and contain contaminants like pharmaceuticals and personal care products. These substances have an adverse impact on the health of humans, animals and wildlife. Then industrial activities. The industries and factories release toxic substances that are released into the soil, lakes, oceans and rivers. The gaseous emissions pollute the environment which enters into the food chain leading to biomagnification. Then mining activities in the ocean. Mining activities are carried out in the deep sea to extract metal like zinc, aluminium, cobalt, silver and gold. The mining process generates a large amount of sulfide and selenium, deposit in water and destroy the ocean and coastal regions. The level of toxicity is increased. These toxic substances are absorbed by the aquatic organisms higher in the food chain. Now comes effects of biomagnification. Following are the effects of biomagnification on living organism and the environment. Impact on human health. Biomagnification makes humans more prone to cancer, kidney problems, liver failure, birth defects, respiratory disorders and heart diseases. Effects on reproduction and development of marine creatures. The toxic chemicals accumulate in the important organs of aquatic organisms that affect their reproduction and development processes. For examples, the shells of the eggs of the seabirds are very thin that might get crushed by the birds themselves during incubation. Selenium and mercury destroy the reproductive organs of aquatic creatures. Destruction of coral reefs. Cyanide that is used in leaching gold and fishing is the main cause of the destruction of coral reefs. Coral reefs are the dwelling and feeding grounds for many sea creatures. Their destruction affects the lives of many aquatic animals. Disruption of food chain. The chemicals and toxins which are released into the water bodies disrupt the food chain. The small organisms absorb the toxins which are eaten up by larger animals. These toxins thus get accumulated in the higher level of organism. Let me simplify this for you. Biomagnification is a cumulative increase in the concentration of a persistent substance like pesticides, metals, etc., as it moves up the food chain. Here is an explanation showing the process of biomagnification. Release of toxic chemicals and pollutants into the environment. The entire process starts with the release of toxic chemicals and pollutants into the environment, which eventually work their way into soils, river or lakes and the seas. The concentration of these toxic chemicals and pollutants seem to be very low when released in different environments. They are very minute even in terms of weight. Phytoplankton. Phytoplankton are small plants that float in the sea that normally absorb these toxins. Once absorbed, the toxin stay in their tissues without being excreted or broken down. With time, the toxin accumulate to high concentration, up to 200 parts a trillion, which represent a toxin accumulation increase by about fourfold. Zooplankton. That refers to small marine animals that float in the seas. They consume the phytoplankton and thus take in the toxins which stay locked in the organism tissues without being excreted or broken down. Small fish consume the zooplankton. Large fish graze on the smaller fish. The top food chain organism consume the fish. The organisms at the top of the food chain, including the marine mammals such as dolphin, seabirds, and humans, gradually build up the toxins in their tissues such as their liver when they consume the large fish. The levels of concentration here increase to highest range of 10,000 to 15,000 parts per billion. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.